The Sony FX9 is a great camera, but it's a bad buying decision. Here's why. Hi guys, my name is Paul, I'm a German-based cinematographer and this channel is all about filmmaking, gear reviews, but also DaVinci Resolve tutorials. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, hit that like and subscribe button, that really supports this channel. Thank you. So currently I'm recording on the FX9. I have it here for a couple of weeks for testing and I dig deeper into the Sony cinema line. And while I was shooting with the FX9, I was kind of shocked what the camera can offer, but also what it can't. So if we take a closer look at the current Sony cinema line offerings, we have the top tier cinema camera, which is the Sony FX9. Then we have the Sony FX6 and the FX3. So the Sony FX9 has a 6K sensor, which internally only records in 4K. So it downsamples the 6K image into a 4K image for you. The Sony FX6 and the FX3 share the same sensor. It's the same as in the A7S III. It's a native 4K sensor. But the advantage is that they can shoot at full frame 4K 60 FPS all the way up to 4K 120p. The Sony FX9, which is the most expensive camera of all the three, can't do that. It only can record 4K 60 in the Super 35 crop, which is a bummer, I think. It can only record 4K 120 externally. It can only record 6K also externally, and it can record in 2K up to 180 frames, whereas the FX6 and the FX3 can record up to 240 frames in 2K. Considering the frame rate options, the FX9 is pretty limited. Also, what I found a big disadvantage, at least for me, is this shoulder style side handle. It's all in the way every time when I want to put it on the table. The camera falls down. It's like, just for me, awkward position, so I can't bring the side handle into a position where it feels natural for me, because I mostly shoot handheld. And so therefore you already see that the camera is mostly targeted for TV and broadcast purposes. The FX9 has also a higher power draw at 35 watt hours, whereas the FX6, for example, has only 18 watt hours, which is crazy for what the camera can do. And I think the FX3 only has less, so also there you see you have a lot of inconveniences, I think, with the FX9. But why even buying then the FX9? Well, the FX9 has a few advantages over the other cameras. The main one is that it has built-in XLR ports into the camera, whereas with the other cameras, the FX6 and the FX3, you only get that when you have this top handle attached. Also, the camera has much more I/O than, for example, the FX6. For example, the FX9 has 2 SDI ports. It also has Genlock and timecode, whereas the FX6 only has 1 SDI port, so that maybe can be for some productions feature that you might need. So considering the Sony cinema lineup, once again, I think the FX6 is for most people the much better option, because it has half the price, it has half the power draw, it has almost the same body design with a few disadvantages, but it has a 4K sensor, and in a frame rate you can shoot up to 120p internally, so you don't have to hustle to change the sensor resolutions, change crop mode for anything. So I think for purely convenience factor, the FX6 would be the better option. The only thing I can imagine that you want to have an FX9 is because of that shoulder side handle construction, and also the better I/O and better audio controls. But other than that, I don't see a massive improvement from the FX. Granted, to say that the FX6 was released later than the FX9, but anyway, if we look at the Sony lineup, I think the FX9 needs to be updated, in my opinion. But other than that, when I was shooting with the camera, I find the camera has a great image. Autofocus, as you see right now, also works great. And the images, which everybody was used to say looks bad on Sony, I think that's totally totally false, because I think the camera has also great color reproduction. I have used the Sony FS5 Mark I, which had all full colors really, but this one is a much better improvement. So there's little to no, whereas say like Canon has the better colors. I think in the most situations it's really a tie between those. So all the cameras out there have a great color science in my opinion right now out there. So in my upcoming videos I will also compare it to my Red Komodo image quality wise and also to the C70. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribe, and I hope to see you in my next video. Cheers!